Good day, everyone, and welcome to Ferg TV. I'm Ray. This is Rhody, and today's little project, I want to put some packouts in those two storage areas in Rhody. So I'm going to show you what my thoughts are. Yeah, I could just stick them in and they do lock on top of each other. That would be fine, I guess, but getting something out is really going to be, you got to take everything out. I'm going to put some rollouts in here. So let me show you what the plan is here. So the plan is that we're going to build a little base up with some 2x4s. Those are going about there. Those are going there. I just kind of glued and screwed these together. I didn't bother showing you that. It would bore the snot out of you, and nobody wants that. Plus, I have to keep figuring out how I'm going to do this because, you know what? I never did it before. Can we do it? Well, I think we can. Now we're going to put some plywood here. So the idea is to build a base. Like that. And like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some marks where these 2x4s are that go this way. And that's basically where the tracks are going to go. So all the weight's going to be right in this area, and so on. I'm going to take and drill some holes through and put some stainless steel screws up from the bottom. Up through the bottom, and I'm going to screw to this one, this one here, this one here, and same thing on the other side. These are just going to sit here. I'm not putting glue on them or anything. They're just, again, support. And I left the dry dock in, if you notice, because I think if any water gets in here, it'd be good to have that buffer. So I think the best thing to do is probably just take some measurements, and we want to go to the center of these approximately. So if we go 5.5 and 22. Now, is there any reason why we can't drill down through? And it's all free and clear. So 5.5. I think we'll just pick a nice spot here in the dry dock that will make sense. Right there. Okay. And then we'll duplicate down here. Like I said, I think I'll go two in the center of this and one towards the rear. So I'm just picking a spot that's like a good place to drill through the dry dock. Okay. No sense in measuring where each hole goes this way because who cares? Oh, I don't care. That'd be good right there. Whoa, almost killed you. You all right? Sorry about that. I owe you one. All right, let's try that again. 5.5. Let's go right there. And then one towards the rear. Right there. Beautiful. Jeez. I did it to you again. No wonder nobody watches this channel. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to drill the rest of these holes, and I'll show you how we're going to put the screws in, fasten it down, and then we'll put the plywood on the top. I don't want to bore you with all the repetitive stuff. All right, with all those holes drilled, it's time to put some screws up. Now, The task is going to be to get a screw in here and hold that down. Although, with the screw being smaller than the hole, it should turn freely and pull this down. So let's try it. Beautiful. Alright, so that's going to work. So now it's just a matter of going around and putting them all in. So what I decided to do to make life a lot easier, put an 1/8 inch drill bit in, and where it's set in here, I can drill right up to the end of to the chuck, and it'll still be room for the screw there, so I won't drill through anything. Not that it would really matter. You're going to cover it with plywood, but this is going to make life a lot easier. And I put on my glasses because there was a few things flying at me. No sense in going blind over it, I guess, you know. So that's going to be easy enough to do. And it's going to make life a lot easier here. There's not a lot of room to work under here. It might not be coming through over there, but there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to pre-drill them all. Well, I changed my mind after screwing everything together, which came out great, by the way. Very happy. I wasn't going to glue this down, but I changed my mind. I'm going to go half and half. I didn't want to glue it down in case I have to take it apart. I'm going to glue it, but I'm not going to go crazy on it. We're going to use some PL and not as much as you normally would use. That's all screwed down and looks good. Now the next thing to do is to figure out where these are going. Okay, let me see if I can show you what's going on here. So you can see that there's a clearance issue right there with the track. This is going to hit this. So because we're going to be mounted to this piece of 2x4, I'm going to have to just bring it up a little bit, maybe 1/4 of an inch, and it'll clear. The issue is we have 1.5 inches of clearance right here on the top box to here. So I can't come up too much with that. And I'm almost thinking that I want to trim this down, get it nice and flat everywhere, because you can see it's got a little radius. It'd be nice and flat sitting down, and we don't need all of that anyway. So let me get those trimmed up, and then we're going to figure out how we're going to mount them down. So when this box is sitting down on the base here, it leaves us 1.5 inches of space, which is fine. But if you're going to put the rollout in, that's going to come up. And the calculations that I'm coming up with, my minimum would be 1.5 inches, so it's going to hit. I probably won't be able to use that one. I'll have to use this one, which I was using on the other side with a taller box. And I'll probably have to use this over here and get one more of these, which won't be the end of the world, because that gives us, drum roll please, 3.5 inches. So the question that I have, because the other side is going to be the same here, take that out of there and take this one out. You won't be reaching in to do this. Once this is all done, these will be pulled out here to you, and life is going to be a little easier. So I was trying to mix things up because at this point I don't know what's going where. So I was going to use this one on the other side. When I say the other side, I mean right there in front. I was going to put that on and then use a short one. But I can see right now that's not going to work. That gives you that 1.5 inches again. If I can somehow do this so that it won't bother that, that would be okay. So I'm going to do a little more calculating, I kind of like to use what I already have, but let me figure it out and I'll get back to you. Hey, this might be a great time for you to go give it the old up yours. You know, if you're getting anything out of this, it would be great for the channel if you subscribe, but that's up to you. It is another day. It's actually more like a week later from when I was working on this last. There's too many things going on, and your stuff always comes last. Welcome back. So here's where we're at. When I left you the other day, I had some figuring out to do. How am I going to run all of this, and what's going to happen? And what I came up with, I went and bought some aluminum angles. They are 1/8 inch by 1.5 by 1.5, I think. The answer is they are 1.5 by 1.5. And to make it over or give me clearance that I need, I'm going to drill these holes. I'm going to put it offset here. It wouldn't be here, of course, it's going to be down here. But just to show you, I'm going to drill it as high as I can so that we get the clearance to go over the gas strut on the door. So what I'm doing now is a mock-up. This is going to be the center going in between the stiles of the two compartment doors. And I'm going to get my dimensions pulled together here, figure out where the tracks are going, and also figure out what I'm going to use for plywood to support this, because what will happen is these will get mounted to the tracks, and then the plywood will get mounted to this, as that would go underneath. Let's get that out of the way. As that would go underneath, and plywood would be going, spanning from one to the other, and that's going to be our support. And then we're going to drill and mount this right to the plywood. Well, it is another day. I ran into some issues yesterday, and one of them was, this is the craziest thing, my mic, my DJI mic, which has a magnet on it, went missing in action. I looked all over. I mean, I walked the lawn wherever I thought I walked. I went down where I picked up the plywood down in my shop, where I went to my pickup truck, out where I was working on the Volvo. I couldn't find this thing anywhere. I looked in the shop here where I was cutting these angles. I couldn't find this thing anywhere. I got so frustrated, I said, that's it, I'm calling it a day. And I packed everything in, because it was like 4:30 anyway, and I was running out of steam. It was a good excuse. And as I'm packing my bags up for the day, I went out to the Volvo, and the center stile between the two storage doors on the back, I had shut the right-hand door so that I could get inside from the left-hand door, and I took a measurement to see how high I need to be to clear that gas strut. And when I did, when I leaned in, this magnet somehow took over and latched onto that center stile. So when I went to close the door over there, boom, I found it. So at least I ended the day on a good note. So here we are the next day, and so that I wouldn't bore the snot out of you, I worked out the details, but I'm going to show you what I came up with. So basically you have to make lefts and rights on these, and I went ahead and marked them. I figured out where I need to be here at my the furthest that I could be without getting into the edge of this thing, right, into the edge of this. And I'm going to be able to bore in here without a problem and put a nut and bolt on it, because they come through with these nuts and bolts. So that's how I came up with that. And then basically all I did was I set my combination square up and clamped this thing down to the ground, took my marker, and I traced my line all the way down on all four of them. Then I went back and I said, okay, which one's going to be the front? So you can see I marked front right, that's the rear on it, so that I'll be oriented. And then I just lined up with the front of the track and I put a center mark on all of these. Then the next thing that I did is I carried the center mark straight in, and I took a center punch and punched my holes. And now you're up to speed. So we're going to set up over at the drill press so that I'm set up properly this way, so that I'll always be drilling on that line. And then I'll see what I can do. I think I'm going to have to punch a hole on each one of these and then bore at that. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do this. Here is our simple little setup. Simple, but effective. So as you can see, I've gone through, well, I did some drilling on a test piece and I left some residue there, some aluminum strips. But I've got this set properly this way, front to rear. And all you have to do now is just line it up this way and hit your places that you've already center punched. And so the next thing to do would be to test it, which I already did. And so this all lined up. These are my 2 test holes, and I drilled 2 over there. Good thing I did, because I thought 3/16 was going to be the ticket, and I had to go to the next one up, which is probably like a 32nd bigger drill bit wise. And so what this is going to do for me as we do our test and check it all out, I like to check it out before we do them all, see if, prove if you're right or wrong, right? So this is going to put me about 1/8 down on this. And then I'm going to have to space this up. This is the only place that has to clear that gas strut. And I need like 1 1/8 or something. So that means that when my next calculation will be on these side boards, I will have to bring this up enough to my center line here for these screws, because these will now go into the board to support the track that way, or to mount it. I just need to bring it up enough so that I have the clearance between here and here to clear that gas strut. That was a long way to go for that explanation. So let's go over here and start doing some drilling. All right, let's drill a few here. So you can see how that's going to work out, and I think it's going to be just fine. I got to move the camera because it's going to be in the way to slide this down in that direction. But I'm not going to show you all of them because it's just redundant. So I'm going to drill all of these, and then we'll go to the next step. We are into the testing and proving stage. It seems like the whole project's testing and proving. So there we are with our track fully extended so that it exposes our mounting screws. This is just a test piece to see where we're at, and we're going to go out to the truck in a second. I did calculations, and I calculated that to give myself the clearance above this, above the gas strut to clear here, I would need to be 1 9/16 from the floor, which this represents the floor of the compartment. So I drew a line at 1 9/16 and I popped in some screws. So let's go out and prove this right or wrong. There is one other piece to the puzzle that we need to figure this out, and that is, what do we need for clearance? And so the boxes measure 22.5 inches. So that's our numbers to work with. We need to end up with 22.5 inches. And the bottom that I came up with, I found a sheet of this. I don't know if it's an MDO, I've had it for a long time, which would be like an exterior signboard, whoops, which would be good for painting and stuff. Whoa! You still with me? All right, hope I didn't make you throw up there. So we're gonna cut this, but this isn't 3/4, it's 5/8. I think it'll be plenty hefty enough to handle a load. What we need to do now is go out to the truck and measure this. You probably didn't know what I kept referencing as a clearance, but this gas strut right here. But if you notice something, this maybe if you look at it like that, is on an angle. So that means the farther I am that way with the track, the less clearance I need. But we can't really tell by just taking a measurement here. We have to shut the door because this is what's of concern. Get this shut. Okay, now the other thing that can be done is this can get moved back some, but you'll still have a clearance issue. So I can go over farther this way, which nothing would hit if I came over in this area, because I can make that bottom plywood any size that I want. And the farther I go that way, the more clearance I have. Okay, so we're going to measure from that angle iron up and see. Remember, we need 22.5 after we put on the 5/8. So we have 23.25, which means if it was a 3/4 inch sheet, that would make it that 22.5, which of course is no good. And it's actually like an eighth, just about an eighth less. But that only gives you an eighth of clearance. So what I propose is we take this down from 1 9/16 as our center line from here to here. We take and make it an eighth to maybe even 3/16 less. So we're going to go in and we don't even have to undo this. We're just going to cut it on the table saw. I'm going to take an eighth off, see what we look like with clearance, and if we can take another 16th and still clear, we're definitely going to do that because I want to cut ourselves as much slack. I don't know if everything's 100% up here. I don't even know if the floor is 100%. And if you're that close, a little variance could be a problem. So let's go back into the table saw and we'll just take a little off the bottom of this and start there. But this is why we're doing a test. That way when I do put it together with the other pieces, we know it's going to work. And there's plenty of clearance there. I'm going to take another 16th off. Well, I didn't show you this. These are all locking, right? So they lock on the inside position. I'll show you when we get out there anyway. Then they lock all the way out. They won't move here either. And you have to release it one more time to get it to release. But one thing I am finding out is all the holes work out, which is a great thing. You know, a lot of these things get proved when you get into the real world part of it, start putting things together. Hey, this would be a great opportunity for you if you had enough mustard in you to go give it the old up yours. Don't do it for me, do it for YouTube. You know, if you're getting a little something out of any of these things, even if it's a chuckle, I don't know, maybe you'll subscribe. That would be great, I would appreciate it. Okay, enough of the sales pitch, eh? Oh, 5 people just tuned out. I only had 10. It's time to attach the slides to our mounting blocks. So I just put these in without thinking. Really, the best way to do this is to take each slide apart and line it up right there, right there. We have good lineup marks. Maybe I can show you that without making you throw up. Who knows? So this is what we've got. When you look at these tracks, you can see that there's like a cross there, and so you can actually line them up pretty darn good right on the center there. I gotta give them credit. These are Chinese tracks, but you know what, they're pretty decent. Of course, I haven't used one yet, but everything that I've seen so far, and I've used a lot of tracks over my career, but that's all I'm going to say at this point. So we need to pre-drill some holes. We need to get this equal to the front, lined up. And the reason that we want them equal to the front is we want this thing to pull squarely That's good right there. We'll get one in the front, one in the back, and then we can do all the rest of them and things won't be moving on us. Okay, back here. Now these aren't slotted holes where you'd have some adjustment, so you got to get it on the money, which is not that big a deal to do. We can do this. All right, now that those two are in, we can go right through and do all of them. All right, I get these last two screws in. Clean up the sawdust that's in here. It's another thing for you to consider when you're doing this. They send these through and they've got grease in them so that everything moves. Then you have to drill holes and you create dust. You got to get it out of there. After vacuuming out what we could, we're gonna go to the next step. So everything that I get out now is gonna keep us from binding up later on. You do want them to slide nice. Put this back together, and then we'll go on and do the rest of them. We'll take them out into the truck. We'll line them up, get a good measurement, and then I'll know what size to cut my plywood to. Now we're at the point where we're going to figure out what we need for plywood. We need at least 16 inches for our toolbox to fit on the bottom here. And I would say that we better use these nuts as a point, not the back of this. So let's figure out what we got. So one of the things that we're going to do is we want them all to be in the same place. So if we work off the front of here and we go to that, oops, and then we set this, we can get them all to be the same. A little finesse. Okay. Hey, we got one side in. I just wanted to show you what these are going to look like. You can tell it's the end of the day because the mics have quit. They run out of battery, so you're not going to hear the same quality that you had earlier. It's just the way it is, man. Just the way it is. Alright, so we'll keep this out to the end. Get you over here where you can see. Keep you out to the end like that. Ooh, I just noticed something. I don't know if that's gonna be a problem there. Ooh, it is gonna be a problem. I don't know if you can see, we have clearance here. The way we could get around this is to put some washers underneath there and build it up. I don't know that I want to do that. Well, I could put a couple of strips of wood there. Well, this side's just slightly different. It's got a different couple of boxes on it, but the theory is the same. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up right here, and then I'll come back the next time and I'll fasten them down, and this will be complete. Well, here we are at the next day, and I always like to sleep on these things because I tend to come up with my answers after I rest on it a little bit and think about it. So I just need clearance for those locking bars on the two drawer units. So my thought is to take a piece of 1/4 inch and cut it at 1.5 inches and slide it between the aluminum L bracket there and that piece of 5/8 that I put on. Now the question will be, will I have enough room or clearance to be able to do that? Well, I have plan B lined up if I don't. So I could put 2 of these up there, which I might want to do anyway, and take that thicker box out of the top, which would give me plenty of room on the right-hand bank. And then the left-hand bank, there's actually a little more room over there. Like I said, we don't know if the box is a 100% level square, and we don't know that the plywood and the 2x4 is on off a little bit at the bottom. We're splitting hairs here. But there is more room on the left-hand bank, and I think I can get this 1/4 inch underneath there anyway on that side. So let me get set up. I'm going to cut them to 27 inches, and then I'll slice them out at 1.5 inches. I need 4 of them, and we're going to go out and test this. So we have our strips cut. Boy, if that's enough clearance, which we're going to test that. I figured instead, they're going to go down here in the end, but to just test and see if this is going to work, I'm thinking I'm just going to put them under here and bring it up. But we won't have to clear this, just this. And that will do it. All right, that's one part of the test. The other part is, see, and once this is all screwed in, pushing this bar back in won't be a problem. I think these are pretty well made. I'm liking it. It really isn't that hard to push that bar in. It's just that this wants to move. Question is, are we going to be able to push this in, and will it clear? So you can see where the issue is here. Will it clear? So it'll clear, but it's close. But if it clears, right? I think we're going to win at this battle. I think we're going to need longer screws, though, which I have. We have what we need. So this should be the same size. I'll put that there. Let's drill this. That should have hit that other hole underneath, I'm hoping. This might be a good time for you to go give it the old up yours. You know, and if you're getting anything out of this, you might want to consider subscribing. Oops, that kind of went on an angle, didn't it? Huh, I wonder why. I think these 1-inch screws are going to be all right. That screw must have been on a little bit of an angle. All right, let's take a look at this. Yeah, I think that's going to be just fine. That's the way we're going. So I was going out there to put these in, and then I said, hey, we'd be better off to do this all right here. It's a little cool out there, but besides that, all my tools are in here. So this is going to work out rather slick. We've got clearance now, but what we're going to do is take these out, because we're going to mount this to the floor of this so it stays anchored. Boy, I think this is going to be really slick. It's going to be worth the time, the effort, and the money. So they're not cheap, but I think they're well made, and I like the way they lock, and I just think it's going to be worth it. I think I can come down through there, and then in the back over here. Now that one's not a problem. This one we got to take a measurement on. So we would want it to be drilling about 4 3/4 inches. So what does 4 3/4 inches look like in here? Oh, it's fine. So I was going to go through with a wood screw and just screw into this, but I decided to go right through with a bolt so that I can put a nice flat washer on the inside, drill through this, put a nut and a washer on the bottom, because we got plenty of room for clearance down there. So I'm going to drill close to the edge on these, so that way there, when we pull down, we're pulling right on that. And for the back, can go right there. Right there, and there's that middle one right there. Right there. All right. Okay. So that's going to make us happy. I don't think this is going to fit in there. Oh boy, I'll tell you, it's close. Ooh, it will fit in there. I pushed the bolt up from underneath, no washer on it, and no lock washer, and I do get a full nut on there. So, you know, the only thing it could do is possibly loosen up. If it does, I'll use some thread locker on it. I don't know that I want to do that right now. So this is what we're doing. Coming up through, gonna bolt it down, gonna do 2 in the back. You can see the holes there, and I think it's gonna work just fine. All right, let me get these bolted in and we'll go out and test it. Okay, let's see how easy we can get this in. Wow, not too bad. It's locked. Does it shut? And it shuts. Yeah. Okay. So I'll show you what I was talking about for storage of that impact wrench, impact gun. Get this hook right here. Bring it around. Hook it over here. And winner, winner, chicken dinner. As so. Ooh, does that clear? Yeah, I guess it does. Oh yeah. See, I have to unlock it because it is locked out and in. And then you have to lock it in and just bring them up. But the bottom there. Wow, that is going to be fantastic. Once you unlock them, then you have this to pull it in and out. I was just curious. I mean, not that I don't want these up here. I think they would work out pretty good. But just to satisfy my curiosity. Let's see if that'll go in there. Well, it will. It'll fit. So I can go either way. I almost think I want to put the little guys up there, though. I don't think it's such a bad idea. I like the fact that they lock in. This can ride right here. And these will go in here. Oh man, nothing could be easier than that. Just lock them up. Wow. Well, thanks for joining me on this ongoing outfitting of Rhody here. It's going to take a while to get all this stuff. I got these in. I'm very happy with them, but I still have to go to the next level, and that's figure out what's going where. I really don't have an idea on that yet. It's going to have to be just check it out, figure it out. I know I want to get some air fittings to have with me, you know, just a bunch of things, electrical stuff. I already have a lot of this. It'll be about organizing it. As always, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm going to stick a couple of videos here that you might want to take a look at. And if you got enough mustard in you, if it even lasted to the end, a lot of people don't, but that's just the nature of the beast. If you could give it the old up yours, I'd really appreciate it. Don't do it for me, do it for YouTube. They love that sort of thing. And maybe if you're getting anything out of this, you'll subscribe. That I would appreciate. So we'll see you on the next one.